What up, y'all? DCFAYGOGUY. Today, we are going to be reviewing the brand new Cabal project, The Pit. It's been out, available now for a week. If you have Spotify, if you have Apple Music, it's only been out for a few days. If you pre-ordered the box, well, it really depends on when you got yours. I got mine on Monday, so I've been listening, not this past Monday, but the Monday before. So I've been listening to it now for well over a week. I've got a good solid 15 listens in, at least. I only know that because I went and double checked on my iTunes account because obviously it hadn't dropped on Apple Music. There was really no way to track it. But I was kind of curious where it's shaping up against all the albums of the year for Album of the Year. And it's most likely going to be Album of the Year. But let's jump right into it. So there is a lot to talk about. I want to try to get everything out that I plan to say about this album because there was a lot to digest, and there honestly still is, but I also feel like Buckshot is getting ready to reveal Hollow Bleed, and there are things that I want to talk about before that happens because I kind of want to see if I'm on the right page with things, and I feel like, getting my preemptive thoughts out there first and then kind of going from there. I want to do the review before anything really kind of gets confirmed or denied, so I can go forward knowing like, all right, I'm on the right path. I think I know where this is leading. Obviously, if you've listened to The Watchers, this is the next stage in the story, and in a lot of ways, this actually is building way more onto the story than the first one did. One thing that I talked about on the Deck One Dealt podcast that they did an episode of this. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It was less serious of a review as I was hoping. I went into that a little disappointed because I was hoping it was going to be more serious. I was super duper hopeful that Carver would just bring all kinds of knowledge because I feel like this album, I feel like Cabal is right up his alley, and that didn't quite happen. We had fun though, so if you enjoy a good laugh, you might enjoy that episode. But I had said on there that I felt like it was kind of weird that they named the first project The Watchers, and this one is called The Pit, when you probably could have called the first one The Monolith. This one's called The Pit. You get different parts of this ancient temple, but also The Watchers was setting up and introducing you to who are the Watchers, and this one elaborates on that so much more. So I kind of want to talk both theme and story and concept, but I also want to make sure that I'm showing enough love to the actual music side because that is also a huge chunk of it. So let me first start off by saying that this album is absolutely amazing. It really blows the first one out of the water, and one of the reasons why I say that is this one takes it to the next level of production, again, story, and they were both very aggressive, and that's where the story, I think, shifts. The first one was definitely more kind of sinister and dark, like these are these mysterious, shadowy entities that are out there watching, and this one is like, these guys are here to take over. That seems to be the really big theme on this album, is that it's leading towards some kind of a takeover, whether it being an invasion, whether it being, some kind of demonic summoning. It's leading towards something. So production-wise, everything was amazing. They did some really crazy mixing on this. I know Buckshot was talking stories about how Rob Rebeck hit him up and was like, yo, you guys are giving me fucking nightmares. That's paraphrasing, but Rob Rebeck had reached out, said, he was having these nightmares because he was the one that mixed it. And if you don't know who Rob Rebeck is, he was the one that did mixing for a while there for Strange Music. Obviously, he gets that's the first thing you hear when you listen to Tech Nine's KOD. So Rob Rebeck is definitely not new to this kind of a style. Obviously, KOD is supposed to be Tech Nine's darkest album. For many Juggalos, it was the last good Tech Nine album at all. So this was, it was interesting and funny to hear that, but production-wise, everything's great. Again, everyone leveled the fuck up. On literal parts, I feel like Mr. Gray straight up literally went apeshit. There were so many parts during this album where he already has a naturally dark deep voice. I don't want to say dark, deep voice, you know. He like channeled into that even deeper, and he was doing some like demonic growling throughout it. There was a lot where he was like doing this kind of shit, and even I want to say it was I think it was let me look at the tracks real quick. It was We Come in Peace. There's a part where he kind of does that, and then he's, you know what I mean? Like, he is fucking screaming, and he's channeling some straight up demonic sounding vocals. And I know I know the guys at Deck One Doubt had kind of teased that they felt that was like silly, but I think that was that had to happen. That needed to happen to really kind of set the tone of these watchers are not just like not innocently, they're not just peacefully watching. At some point, they're going to aggressively take over. That's the vibe that got. But again, there are some otherworldly themes here. Eidolon, One Dark Night, Obey, We Come in Peace, All Rise, Coming With Me, The Signal, and Fire from Beyond, all hinting towards something otherworldly. Some of them more so alien, some of them more so demonic. I mean, Fire from Beyond literally sounds like it's talking about from hell. You know, in One Dark Night, they talk about Mr. Gray's verse specifically. He really kind of touches on the origins even of Cabal. He talks about one dark night in a little small town, or on the outskirts of a small town. Talk about the pyramid being built straight to the depths of hell. I'm paraphrasing like crazy because there's so much to remember about this album. It's a long album and there's so much information. There's so much story building here. But he talks about the pyramid being built, it being built to a pit being to the depths of hell. So that pretty much kind of tells me that that's where the pit leads to is hell. Obviously, when you listen to the skits on the story and how it unfolds, you know, in the first album, it was, you have these people that are chosen to witness a ritual, and they have to have the token. That's the coin that comes in the pyramid. You spill blood onto the token, and you get to be part of the Dark Assembly, and you get to see this ritual happen. What the first ritual is that they talk about in The Watchers is called the Offering of Souls. And they don't really tell us what happens during that, but they do in this one. So what happens in this one is you end up getting a bunch of souls. The Offering of Souls is people being gathered, and they're all executed right there. They're all killed. Then from there, they're taken inside the pyramid to the center, which is where the pit is. Their bodies are laid over this little wall, the little wall that goes around the pit. I got the album artwork right here. They're slouched over it to where their heads are hanging over into the pit. And then Buckshot's character goes through and he cuts all the heads off, as Loki's character, the necromancer, is speaking spells or speaking chants that are, you know, spells essentially. You know what I mean? In the process of doing that, Loki is causing the souls to leave the body, go to another part in the pyramid, and the heads fall off and go straight down into the pit, which is bottomless. It's filled with skulls. There's a bottomless pit of skulls. So it leads to hell. And these skulls have been piling up in hell. And, you know, that was the whole theme of the song Bottomless. You know, we just want to take you to a place we call the pit, which is bottomless of skulls. So it all kind of ties together in that way. And that little bit right there is what made me go back excited, listening for all these little Easter eggs. And we'll talk about that a little bit more because there is connections in the Horde album. We'll get to that. So they're definitely doing a lot of story building with that. But a lot of otherworldly themes. I want to say most of it isn't alien so much. It definitely feels demonic. Something of that nature from either hell, another dimension even. And one of the things Carver did kind of talk about in the Deck One Doubt episode, and this is what got me kind of lit up, because I'm like, yo, this is what I wanted to hear from Carver. This was the shit I was hoping to have conversations about. He was talking about, and I forget what he called it. Lovecrafting. So there's an author named Lovecraft who does a lot of like sci-fi horror stuff. So he was kind of saying how maybe this could be something that is outer space, but it's like interdimensional evil along those lines, like talk about Cthulhu and different things like that, which I have no knowledge on, but I'm intrigued to go find out. So again, that was why I was hoping like to have those conversations with Carver, because I know that that's like up his alley, and I was like, he's got to love Cabal. This feels like something he would love. It's very Dark Lotus vibes, and that's why I wore this shirt on purpose. You know, this is the Dark Lotus I've been missing, but they never really did this much storytelling with Dark Lotus. It was just kind of like this concept of they spawn from this flower, from this lotus, and their sole purpose is to punish mankind, and that's what Cabal feels like. So very interesting. And this is the part, this is where I'm having trouble, because it feels, again, otherworldly, but it feels like from hell, from another dimension. But there's so much theming to outer space and maybe aliens. And one of the things is there are multiple mentions of Saturn. In Eidolon at the beginning, you hear I'm going to assume the preacher talking about under the glow of Saturn. We Come in Peace, there's mention of Saturn. The Signal, there's mention of Saturn. And Coming With Me, there is a mention of Saturn. So I don't know how Saturn ties into this, but I feel like Saturn really does. So, and there is one part in We Come in Peace where Mr. Gray talks about something about saving their own planet. We will harvest your energies to save our planet. So that was an interesting little Easter egg that really stuck out to me as well, is that he referred to another planet and saving their planet by harvesting souls from this planet. That was a very interesting thing. So, you know, maybe it is alien, but maybe it's through some, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure this shit out. But so getting to the next phase of where I think the story could be going, there is definitely connections to Warlock. And if you don't know what Warlock is, last year Buckshot released the Helter Skelter 2, the Accomplices 2, not Helter Skelter 2. There's 4 or 5 Helter Skelters in the series. This one is the Accomplices 2. And when you open up the book, inside there was this advertisement right here, which is for a group featuring Kung Fu Vampire, Shy One, and Boondocks. Now, the connections to Warlock, you have in One Dark Night, Buckshot mentions you can't see Warlock, you can't see Cabal, you can't see the mob. He mentions Warlock there. There is also in The Curse, Buckshot mentions stories of the Horde, how we done this shit before, and says this is war. Now, I don't have the Horde yet. I've been sleeping on getting that album. Again, I've slowed down on getting physical copies this year, which I'm probably going to end up getting the Horde now that these all kind of tie together. In the Horde, the story of that album is basically like this ancient war that took place many, many years ago. And these two, I guess, soldiers or generals or whatever, coming forward and joining forces and amassing this huge army that is the Horde. So him referencing that makes me think that the two albums are definitely tied together. On that album, we have Blood of the Heartless, not List, which is a Cabal featuring Warlock track. In it, Boondocks talks about Blood Coven and the Watchers. So he not only references the Watchers, obviously in that song, Mr. Gray mentions Cabal as well. So we know it's confirmed that it's supposed to be Cabal with Warlock, because at the very beginning of the song, Warlock. And then Shy One goes into his verse. So we know for a fact it's Cabal and Warlock together. With Boondocks mentioning Blood Coven, I feel like either that's what they're collectively going to be referred to as. Maybe that'll be the name of the first Warlock project. Don't really know on that. That's just kind of my guess, because he says Blood Coven and the Watchers. That to me just makes me feel like maybe that's going to be the name of the album. But then the final connection to why I believe Warlock is connected is in the final skit of the album, basically the outro, if you will, in Skulls, there's a mention of 3 have come and watched. 3 have come, they're waiting, they're watching for the sign for the other 3 to arrive. Once they're all in position within the pyramid, the rite of passage will begin. So just kind of guessing and speculating, I think that the Warlock project is going to be called Blood Coven, and either the next Cabal project or the next project where it's Cabal and Warlock together, that album I feel like is going to be or should be called The Rite of Passage. So, yeah, I don't fully know what is being set up here, but there's definitely some kind of takeover, and that's where I want to really dive deeper into the Horde, because I feel like maybe because of Buckshot saying in The Curse that this has happened before, how we've done this shit before, this feels like this is definitely leading up to something. Like, this Cabal is here to take over, and then in the signal they say that Earth's Last Hope is a world eater. So maybe, and again, shout out to Carver, he had said something about like there is no hope for humanity. Its only hope is for the world to just end. So maybe that's what is being set up here. So a lot there where I talked about the fucking story and the theming, but that is what has me so fucking excited about Cabal, is the fact that this wasn't... The thing about Buckshot is, for years now, he's done these like themed albums or story albums. He's done it with Underground Avengers, Double Dragon, Hell's Kitchen with Boondocks, you know, and then going into Cabal, when he set this up, you know, it could have just easily been another themed album, but he's actually doing world building now. And the thing that I love about it is ever since I first like started listening to Underground Avengers and listened to Anomaly 88, where that story was going, and then Dark Matter, what had me excited was the possibility of really world building and working with so many different artists together to create this elaborate world, essentially like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but here in the underground. And I always kind of like jokingly referred to it as the mob style cinematic universe. And that's exactly what he's finally setting up. And he's doing it. He's finally doing it. And the reason I feel like he's finally doing it is because with Hell's Kitchen, with Cabal, with Double Dragon, with Underground Avengers, they always had one thing in common. Buckshot was in all those groups, and that always kind of put, if you will, a damper on the fact of these all existing in the same universe, because how could he collectively be in all these groups unless they're parallel universes? Whereas with Warlock now not having Buckshot officially as that roster, that's where we have this like world building now finally happening. And it has me wondering, how much further can this reach out? Is there going to be other entities involved, you know? And I put on Twitter, God, I don't even remember when it was. I'd said, what if there is more than just the Watchers? And I'd said, you know, theoretically, there could be more than one Cabal. So, and that's exactly what's happening. So I'm super fucking excited for the story side of this project and where everything is going. One thing that I forgot to mention about Warlock and why I feel like it's absolutely connected in a lot of ways, that logo I showed you a little bit ago, right there on the book. This was actually pointed out to me by somebody on Genius. I've been transcribing a little bit on Genius, and a gentleman over there by the name of Marvel Man had pointed it out to me first thing. He wanted me to, when I did my unboxing, to make sure that I showed this book, and he immediately was like, yo, did you spot that Warlock insignia? And I didn't. So I appreciate him, you know, pointing that out to me. And Buckshot has basically alluded, the only thing he told me Easter egg wise was to follow the torch light. And the only thing in the artwork that I see is back here on the back is these torch lights. And then inside where that candle was, you know, it shows that Warlock book. And I feel like maybe that's what he was meaning, like just follow that light, you know. So I feel like I need to look at other stuff in here as well. Maybe there's other things in the background that could lead to other stuff more than just Warlock. But I want to shift focus now back to the actual music, the actual album. Now, obviously, I've shown some of the artwork. I also did that in my unboxing, so I don't want to focus too much on showing the artwork of this CD here. I want to talk a little bit more about music. So that is what I want to do. I want to play you guys each of the tracks, and then we'll come back and we will give ourselves, we will give the top tracks. So let's go ahead and roll through and play all the songs for you real quick.
As the stone temple door opens, the faint orange glow of light from torches and candles can barely be seen through the void. As we travel through the hallways of this ancient structure,
do not interfere, conjure magic like I'm Saruman. If you enter here, you'll see more wizards than a Comic-Con. I've been waiting in the darkness, rubbing elbows with your favorite artists. Ain't most of them solid, I'm just honest. Changing me into what I'll be. One dark night, center of a little town. In a smoky room on sacred ground, summoned by a feeling, I hear the voices call. On that fateful night, with greed, pressure make diamond. With great pressure make diamond. You can bow to the Trinity, bow for infinity, bow to the witness of original divinity. The watchers have returned, causing evil to ascend. Now close your eyes, cause this is the end. This is the end. We will enslave your planet, harvest your bodies to save our planet. When life is taken for granted, there's no one doing the seeds you planted. Evil dead rise.
as we progress into the center of the temple, this area of the pyramid is called the Pit of Eidolon. This cavernous room opens up to an enormous chamber, which is the heart of this ancient structure.
Evolution of the wicked shit. They've been trying to keep us at the gates, but we in rage and now we kicking it. You can say that all the shock was a line, but I can't help that my own self is channeling the divine. By the demons that exist beyond existence, I am him and we are one, and everyone will say it how you really need. Crush him like a Philistine.
Your interpretation of me is irrelevant. I lived through all the shit you rap about and I ain't telling it. Or maybe if you listen closer to the lyrics, you can hear it saying.
When eyes close, black clouds form. Three shadows from the red zone gather to conform. If nightmares even had a shape, this the final boss. I'm the rapping Sub-Zero, get your spinal tossed. Dead of night, inside your mind, is it real? We tower from out of this hell. Our hands all together, we beckon this force. We awake yet asleep as we feed from the source. Say it. Take them all away.
From the deepest, darkest part of space, the signal being sent. Earth will be laid to waste, then your mind will be bent. Stars collide, cataclysms attain.
The Pit of Eidolon is not just a random opening in the ground. It serves as something much more intricate and complex. This structure actually has a supernatural ability of absorbing energy in
Rain down fire from beyond, and everyone will fall. Rain down, take cover, take shelter from the Cabal. Rain down fire from snakes cross into a sigil, no more blood remains. All the leaves begin to glow around your resting place, and in a way it's so poetic how your broken faces turning white to blue as you were entered to your final stage. Carve a 7 in your forehead to the bone, telling stories of the hordes, how we did this all before. This is war, weak-minded get the sword. Your soul is the reward, I hope you know the Lord.
I cannot find a reason why I should fight for myself.
Behold the man behind the curtain.
Be warned. 3 have come and sat back in the shadows, watching and waiting for the sign for the other 3 to arrive. Once all of them are in place and positioned in their designated locations within the
Whew. Dope album, right? If you're not feeling that, then I don't know what to tell you. This music is fucking dope. And again, this is the story behind this. I can't, like, I'm going to waste my whole review talking about an album on just the story of the album. So going through, this was tough picking out top songs because there is so many good ones here, and there are a lot of earworms. If you don't know what earworms are, they're the songs that get stuck in your head. They're the songs, the choruses that you easily remember. So, and there was a lot of them here. There's really not a single song on here that I feel the urge to skip. But I think I've got it narrowed down probably to my top 5 earworms, to my top 5 songs that when I listen to it, I'm like getting into it and getting chills. So my top 5 is going to be Diamond, Obey, All Rise, Coming With Me, and Forest Lights. And it was tough to pick those 5. With my favorite out of them being, and this, again, this was really tough. Everything on this is absolutely fucking wonderful. I think I said Coming With Me. I feel like I want to put Fire From Beyond on there, though. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is so tough. Because between Coming With Me and Fire From Beyond, those two there, low-key, was channeling some Oracle shit. To me, those songs sound like they were supposed to be on an Oracle. They just do, like, low-key channeled that shit. So it was hard picking between those two, but out of the 5 that I named, I would have to say probably my favorite is Diamond. I like the story behind it. I like the meaning. I like the message, you know, talking about don't always be the same, you know, change, become better, and then under great pressure, like in stress in life, that's when you truly shine. That's when you truly become a diamond. It's through that pressure making you into a diamond. I think that's a really powerful message. Again, the song, the hook, it's an absolute earworm. Again, if you go back and watch Deck One Dealt, you can see me dancing and singing to it because I absolutely really fucking love that song. But again, this album is a front to back listener. The only things that I've really been skipping is the skits, and that's just because I'm driving and I want to get back to the music. So absolutely in love with The Pit. Totally worth the 2-year wait because when the first project came out, when The Watchers came out, Buckshot immediately within a month or two had teased, what if I told you the next album is already done? And that has to make me wonder, like, was he serious? Like, did they already have their verses written and they just didn't have the production and the songs put together? I don't know. And that also makes me wonder too, like, does he already have this mapped out and he's just kind of executing it? You know, he's playing chess with it. He's moving his pieces one at a time and he already knows what he's going to do next. Or is he kind of Violent J in it and just like, as he's ready to do the next one, coming up with the concept, you know what I mean? I feel like this is all mapped out, though. This definitely feels mapped out. And maybe not so much with The Watchers, but definitely from now till whatever the next project is from Cabal, and as well as with Warlock, this definitely feels very mapped out. But again, I can't praise this album enough. If you fucked with the first album and you haven't listened to The Pit yet, I'm telling you, you're going to love this one probably more. And if for whatever reason you don't, please tell me down below what it was about this that you didn't like. Was it the singing? Was it the growling and the screaming? I know some people, there was one person that the biggest gripe that they had was that low-key sung too much. And I remember making the joke back to him, like, people don't want to hear someone using their talent. Just rap, motherfucker. That was the joke that I made, you know, off of what is a Juggalo? Just rap, motherfucker. So, yeah. If you've heard the project, tell me down below what your guys' favorite tracks are. If you didn't like the album, again, tell me down below why. Be respectful as always. Just because you don't like something doesn't mean you got to completely shit on it. Doesn't mean you got to shit on other people for liking it. Yeah, again, super excited for what's next. Super duper excited for Warlock's project to come out. Pretty positive it'll be called Blood Coven. If it's not, then they will just collectively be known as Blood Coven, which either way is cool with me. But yeah, hopefully Hollow Bleed gets announced real soon. Hopefully something big is planned. And depending on what is announced, I might make the journey down to Louisville. So, yeah, again, tell me down below what you guys thought about the pit. Are you fucking with it? Are you not? Or are we throwing your ass in the pit? Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys next time.